I love sports, all kinds of sports. And I love following athletes and their stories. And those stories are typically why I follow certain teams. And so when I was watching a TV show the other day, they were talking about the backgrounds and the stories of a lot of the athletes that are going to be competing in the Winter Olympics. And I was all in watching these athletes and their stories. And some of them you might know. So it got me thinking, why is it that people love sports so much? And what you, the high school basketball player out there, can learn from these athletes that we see on TV and inspire us. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is things that you can learn from how they inspire us and how you can inspire as well. Let's jump in and discuss. Welcome back to Hard Smart Together. I'm Coach Dave. I'm here every week to help basketball players become the smart, confident players that coaches love. So every athlete has a story. Every athlete that's going to compete in the Olympics has a story, whether it's Lindsey Vonn, whether it's Alysa Lui, whether in our sport it's Steph Curry, right? And we typically know their stories. How Lindsey Vonn has come back out of retirement to compete in this year's Olympics after having a knee replacement and going through all these catastrophic injuries and what she's gone through, her whole background that's gotten her to this point. Whether it's Alysa Lui, who is rekindling her career after a retirement and has changed her mindset around how she approaches the sport of figure skating. Okay, how she approaches the relationships around it, her whole story, her whole background. Okay, or whether it's Steph Curry, yeah, we know he hits threes and he wins championships, but typically fans of Steph Curry's know about his story and his upbringing with his father who was in the NBA and his time at Davidson and that magical time he had in March Madness, but also about his family and his hobbies and how diverse his life is with his wife and his children and his love for golf and all the rest. It's about his story and overcoming, being kind of the smallest overlooked basketball player out there. It's a complete story. And so we are inspired by these athletes. I mean, can you imagine if we watch sports and it was nothing more than like nameless, faceless, storyless people out there running around? You didn't know anything about the people. You didn't know their story. I doubt if you'd find much interest in watching sports, or anybody would. You wouldn't care. The reason we are so passionate about sports, the reason we're so passionate about watching and care so much is because of the people that are in sports, because of an athlete's story, okay? And so what can you learn from these heroes that kind of at the pinnacle of their careers? That's why we're watching them on TV. There's a lot that you, the high school basketball player, can learn. So that's what I'm going to share today, is 3 things that you can learn about how they are inspiring you and how you might use that to inspire others. Now, before I jump into those 3 things, I always like to give you a free gift just for listening in, just for spending some time with me today. If you haven't already downloaded the 8 intangible skills that coaches love to see in players, these are skills that will help you build a foundation so that you can inspire as well. So I'm making a checklist form. You can download it, and I put a link in the description below, or you can simply go to hardsmarttogether.com/intangibles, and I'll be sure to get you that free gift. Okay, what are the 3 things that we can take away you can, as a high school athlete, from these, athletes that inspire us, their stories that inspire us? Well, one, a story with no challenges, with no adversity, sucks, right? You're probably not following a lot of athletes that, boy, they, nothing went wrong. They had no adversity. Everything just went great for them through grade school, high school, from their family, their family's health, everything just went great. Nothing went wrong. There was no adversity, no challenges. Well, those stories suck, right? What inspires people about an athlete, about a team, is how they approach those challenges, how they overcame those adversities, what they had to go through to get to where they are today. That's what inspires people. So, when you, the high school basketball player, are sitting there having a pity party about the team you didn't make, or the playing time you're not getting, or, whatever the case might be, the injury that took you out this year, you're having to sit the rest of the year. You've got to view that as part of your story. And you can almost embrace it. Embrace these challenges. Embrace these adversities, that you are going to overcome them. And that's part of the story, because you're writing a story that can inspire people, that can inspire someone else, okay? So start looking at these challenges from more of a framework of, wow, imagine what my story's gonna be if I overcome this challenge, if I overcome the next challenge, okay? In achievement, in spite of what you've been through, because that's what inspires you about, like I mentioned, Lindsey Vonn overcoming her injuries, Alysa Lui overcoming, her kind of like depression and mindset around skating, Steph Curry over his size, Michael Jordan over getting cut from his high school basketball team when he was a freshman, right? These are the stories that inspire us. So don't be scared of the adversity that's happening in your story. The second thing that we can learn from these athletes that we admire so much, and that you should take away, is you are not just a basketball player. I hate it when, you ask somebody like, tell me about you. Well, I'm a basketball player. Or, that can happen in different walks of life, right? I've worked for some CEOs that, only felt everything they were was the company that they had built. But you're more than a basketball player. You're a son or a daughter. You're a sister or a brother, right? You're a friend. Maybe you're a volunteer. You're a student. There's so many different aspects of your life. Don't define yourself just within basketball, because when you look at these famous athletes and their stories, a lot of their story that makes them so inspirational doesn't come just from the sport. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it comes from overcoming adversity in the sport. Sometimes it comes from overcoming adversity with their family life, or health concerns, or, it could be anything, right? And hopefully, none of those things are happening with you, but I'm just saying, like, there's more to your life. There's more to what you have to, maybe it's overcoming having a hard time getting good enough grades to play at the next level, to get accepted to college, whatever the case might be. Make a well-rounded story. It's not all about basketball, and it's your whole story that inspires, okay? It's not just your basketball story that can inspire. And then the third point I want to make, and something that we can take away, is something that, I was reminded when I was watching these Olympic athletes. I was reminded of something that I used to say. It was kind of a pregame speech to my teams I coached when we were maybe the biggest game of the year, right? It was kind of my best pep talk. I always saved it for the biggest game of the year. And that is pointing out your responsibility to the people you inspire today. Because you might just think, oh, I'm just a high school basketball player. Who am I inspiring? I haven't made it yet. I'm not playing on TV. I'm not playing in college. I'm not inspiring anybody, but you are. There might be, a CYO team that came to watch you play at a high school game. To them, to the little second or third or fifth graders or whatever they are out there, you're their hero. Oh, I hope I can play. I hope I get to wear that high school uniform. I hope I get to play like them. Oh my goodness, Mom, Dad, did you see what they did? Did you see how they played? Did you see how they acted? So you have a responsibility to inspire, the little fans. Maybe it's players that are playing on the freshman team that look up to you because you're on varsity or JV, There are people out there that you're not quite sure are watching you, but you're being watched. And so you have a responsibility to inspire in the right way. And that's why on this channel we talk about so much your approach and the intangible skills that you should show off both on and off the court. Because you're inspiring today, and you need to take that responsibility and play the game the right way, conduct yourself the right way, interact with the referees the right way, interact with your coaches, your teammates, the other team the right way, so that you are inspiring in a positive manner, because you're already inspiring. So this was just a few things that reminded me that not just it's cool to watch these athletes and hear about their stories and follow them, but there's things that we can all take away from this and learn from, and you as a high school basketball player can not only learn from how their story inspires, but how to craft your own story that inspires both today and in the future. So that's what I got for you today. If this was helpful, give me a like, give me a comment below on how this was helpful for you, and until next week, remember to play hard, play smart, and play together. See you next week.